We have got a high-scoring finish in this one. From Memphis, Tennessee, Texas A&M scores 90 points, their most points in an NCAA tournament game in program history. They had 58 at halftime. 58. And Nebraska did all they could do to keep up. Williams, Tominaga combined for 45, but they had 3 players did the Aggies with 20 points. Wade Taylor, Obaseki, Radford. That's 3 20-point scorers in an NCAA tournament game for the first time in program history. Wade Taylor the fourth, so good. Annie Obaseki, Tyrese Radford. And right now, Texas A&M and Tennessee holding it down for the SEC. But it was an absolute onslaught in the first half. 58 points for the Aggies. Buzz Williams, got to love what he sees right now from this team.
Well, they were lights out from 3, shot over 50% from 3, banged down 13 threes. I mean, you make 13 threes, 13 of 24. Right? 24 shots. If there were 2-point shots, the maximum points you could have, if you went 24 for 24, that'd be 48 points. My point with that is they got 39 from 3. So what wins in March? Yeah, you make perimeter shots, you're going to be really tough to beat. Wade Taylor, up and down year. This is a Texas A&M team, Akeem, that we're in the top 15 on some polls preseason. So our expectations were sky high, and then they really had to earn their way in down the stretch. Hats off to Freddie Hoiberg and Nebraska. They came out of nowhere. They were fun to watch. But, man, they just had a tough time getting stops in this game. This was like athletes versus non-athletes, and the much more athletic team was much more dominant in this game. A very impressive performance. They really scored at will, especially to start the game.
Cornhuskers now 0-8 all-time in the NCAA tournament.
Somewhere, Tyrone Lue is not smiling. One of the great Cornhusker players.
Yeah.
Anyone else? The list kind of ends there. Starts with Tyrone Lue, ends with Tyrone Lue.
Yeah.
There's not been a lot of wonderful players come into that program. So Freddie Hoiberg's brought an interest. They had some great wins this year. Beat Purdue at home. They play in an electric arena. They got a great fan base. They got to the tournament. But A&M's for real. And, you know, Wade Taylor went 7 of 10 from 3. As I said, 13 of 24. Just thought they looked like they were in an offensive rhythm. The one thing Nebraska had lacked all year was kind of that physicality and that athleticism, and I thought this game it really caught up to them.
All right, so Texas A&M looking at a matchup with Houston if Houston can get by Longwood here later this evening. How would that game go down? Because you've got one of the best defensive teams in the country in Houston, and then you've got Texas A&M, one of the highest scoring teams in the nation. It's like, you know, something's got to give.
Who do you like?
Houston. Defense wins in March.
Yeah, I like three-point shooting. I like teams that could score. And you go out there and get almost 100.
What happened to Kentucky? They can score, and they didn't score enough.
Correct, and they didn't get any, stops. And, kid went wild in that game. What do? He made a bunch of shots.
Yeah.
So what worries me about Houston is everybody's worry, right? That they have the game they had against Iowa State, and they can't score.
They're not going to have another game like that.
I had a hard time picking them, and even though Kelvin Sampson has a culture and he recruits guys that play a similar style and they rebound, they're tough, they just always seems to be that game in the tournament every year where they always, lay an egg. There's no other way to say it. So I think that spread's going to be 4, 3.5, and I like A&M in that game.
I'm still looking at this Texas A&M team like they could be a problem for Houston.
Totally.
They can get buckets. Like, this could be a problem come Sunday.
And by the way, these kids, they're from the same region. Like, they see each other in AAU. Like, a lot of that stuff gets regionalized, and I know everything's become more of a national. But these guys know each other. They're not going to be intimidated by Houston. It's going to be a heck of a game. I'd be surprised if Houston's more than a 4 or 5 point favorite.
All right, well,